Hello, my beautiful soul. Thank you so much for being here today. So, today's video is going to be part two. So, the 10 lessons, well, this is part two. So, there's three parts to this. It's basically 30 lessons that I have learned until now. As you may know, that I just turned 30 like on December 27th, and it's a huge milestone for me because it just symbolizes that I'm entering into this new phase into my life. And I just wanted to reflect back on all the lessons that I have learned over that time and share them with you because they may help you in some way and put some things into perspective and yeah, because we're here to empower each other and grow together. And so far, after a couple weeks now being 30, it's been super amazing, and everything that I claimed for it to be has become true. It's epic, blissful, abundant, and super expansive. There's a lot of things moving around in my life that I'm so super excited to start sharing with you guys more and more. But yeah, amazing things are really happening, and I'm just so excited to enter this new phase into my life. And yeah, so let's get started and let me share some amazing nuggets that you don't want to miss out on. Alrighty, so lesson number one is crying is healing. And this is huge because for a long time throughout my life, I always struggled with speaking my truth. I always struggled with speaking my voice. Just standing up for myself in general was always very difficult for me. For some, it may be something that came easy to them, but for me to just share anything that had to do with myself or my opinion, I struggled with. And a lot of times when I was dealing with all these emotions inside of me that I didn't know what to do with, I would just get frustrated and feel sad. And when I felt like I wasn't being heard, all these emotions would bottle up inside of me. And as I was growing up, I would get frustrated at myself for not being able to express myself. And I would get frustrated at myself for feeling so much to the point that I would cry. And it was typically when I would cry, it wasn't because I was necessarily sad in the moment. It was just that I had so much emotion in me that I didn't know how to express it, that the only way that I could express it was through crying. And I hated that. I did not like that I just couldn't talk about it. And for a very long time, I was ashamed of that, to the point where, if I wasn't able to express myself, I would accept whatever is going on in that moment. And then I would separate myself. I'll stay silent. I wouldn't really have much to say. And I would just go to the bathroom and just cry there for a couple hours until I could settle down and feel better. But as I started getting older, I started realizing the beauty with crying and the beauty of being vulnerable, and that it's okay to feel your emotions. And I mean, this I learned not too long ago. For a very long time, I kept a lot in, which is gonna kind of trickle down to other lessons that I have learned. But definitely crying is healing. It's not weakness. If anything, is strength. And you just have the power to feel your emotions, and that's perfectly okay. If anything, that's a huge gift because most people don't feel them. Most people suppress them. And so if you're someone like me, you would understand that. And just know that through crying, you go through some very, very major life shifts, and it's super, super impactful for your healing. Lesson number two is that it's okay to seek help. And this is huge because if you live in the Latino community, seeking help, talking about your feelings, expressing that you're hurt or whatever, is not a common discussion. If anything, it's just something that you it's more like suck it up, get over it, and continue on with life. But the problem with that is that as we become adults, we carry on all this weight and all this trauma from our parents and then their parents' parents, and it just continues on going. But you have the opportunity to heal all that. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but by you healing yourself, you heal ancestral trauma, you heal your parents, which is a beautiful thing. The healing journey is not only about yourself. And the beauty of seeking help is that, you know, a lot of times we can't really talk to our friends and families. Like, they're not going to truly understand, or they're going to, because they know you in a certain way, they're going to have a specific opinion around something. But if you can seek help from outside of your circle, it helps put things in a different perspective for you. And, you know, and a lot of times we grow to think that our way is the only way. And when you allow yourself to open up to the healing, when you allow yourself to be open-minded to receive different messages, at that point you can decide what resonates. You know, if whatever strategy or method from this specific person that you go to doesn't really resonate, then you don't go with it. But if it does, and it can really impact and change your life in such a beautiful way, then why not? But you have to be willing to open yourself up for those blessings to come into your life. And by seeking help, it doesn't make you weak. If anything, it makes you stronger, because again, it goes back into being able to be vulnerable. We live in a time where we struggle to be vulnerable with each other, where we don't really know what the other person is truly going through. A lot of people are walking around with these masks on. No pun intended with that. That's not what I meant. But you know what I mean? Like, you're trying to pretend to be somebody that you're not. You're acting as if you're someone, but when you're really hurting so much inside that you just want somebody to hear you out. And by giving yourself that chance, oh man, your life will change. It will change. And sometimes you have to realize, like, if you continue on doing the same patterns and you're not happy with how your outside external reality is, then something needs to change here. But you gotta give yourself that opportunity. So lesson number 2, it's okay to seek help. Alrighty, so lesson number 3. And I'm realizing that I'm trying to keep these as short as possible, but I just have so much wisdom in me that I just want to share so much. So I'm going to try my best to keep these straight to the point. But I like to kind of explain my lessons. But so it may turn out to 2 videos, like part 2, 1 and 2, just kind of like part 1, but that's okay. That's okay. So anyways, so back to it, right? Lesson number 3 is don't drink and drive. I know. It's cliche and you're probably rolling your eyes like, okay, Angie. But Angie had to learn the lesson. Not many people know about this, but I got a DUI about 3 years ago. And I was arrested. And luckily it wasn't a bad situation in the sense of I didn't get into a car accident or anything like that. Actually, the situation that happened was I was with my boyfriend at the time, and I felt like I was okay to drive, and I literally got out of the club, I was at a red light, turned, and then my boyfriend and I were like, my boyfriend was the one that suggested, and he was like, let's get an Uber instead. Let's park the car here and get an Uber. Literally, it was just I wasn't even a block away. I literally just turned the corner, got into the parking spot, parked the car just fine, and sat down to call the Uber or Lyft. And the cop was behind and put their lights on. And even though we were trying to do the right thing in that moment, because we realized that we weren't good, the cop didn't care, still arrested me regardless, even though we told him that we were willing to leave the car there, that we were going to get an Uber, that we were just literally why we parked the car just now. But it didn't matter. Angie was meant to learn this lesson, this hard lesson. But honestly, even though it happened during, at least to me, how it felt during that time, during one of the worst moments, because it happened a month before moving to Oregon, and all our savings all this money that we saved for our move had to go to this. And so it was very, very tough times. But I'm gonna be honest with you that I am grateful that it happened. It was honestly one of the best things that could have happened to me, because it really put a lot of things into perspective. And I've shared this story about myself a couple times, but throughout college, like I said, I struggled a lot to express myself and my emotions and to figure out my feelings inside. And I, for a very long time, never felt like I could be heard. And so during college, I was very unhappy, because if you watch my part 1, you would know that that basically I got into a career that I didn't really care about. I was in a toxic relationship. I was also in a toxic job environment. And I wasn't really caring about myself, because I just felt so lost and disconnected. Like I said, didn't feel like I was being heard. So as an empath and a highly sensitive person at times, I used alcohol as my scapegoat. It was my way to escape my feelings and my way to drown out my feelings, basically. I had multiple occasions where in my life where, I mean, I till this day have a guardian angel protecting me at all times. Like I said, there was multiple occasions in my life that I wouldn't be here making this video. And but I'm meant to be here for a bigger purpose and to share my mission. And this is why I do what I do. And this is why I'm so big on self-love and empowering other people and making others feel heard and seen and loved, because it's so important, because I know that pain. And don't want to get emotional, but yeah. And so I learned the hard way. Like I said, I'm grateful that nothing bad happened at that moment. But, you know, as a sister, as a best friend, as a coach, you know, spend the extra money on their Uber and Lyfts. I know back then, even when I started college early on, like Ubers and Lyfts didn't exist until later on in college. But now that they do, like, freaking use it. If you don't have the money to spend on an Uber or Lyft, you shouldn't be going out, honey. Don't be going out. Then stay home if you cannot afford that. But trust me, it's so much more worth paying $50 for your Uber and Lyft than thousands of dollars to get yourself out of a situation. Or get yourself in a really, really bad accident that, you know, God forbid. But yeah, so something that I truly learned the hard way is don't drink and drive. Just don't do it. Be smart, be wise. Just know that you're not unstoppable. Sometimes we think as young adults that we are unstoppable and nothing will happen to us. And sometimes as older adults, we think the same thing. So this is why I say, do the inner healing, do the inner work. Do cry, because crying is healing, because then that way you don't use these substances as a scapegoat. So don't drink and drive. Alrighty, so lesson number 4 is don't pay all your bills all the time. And you're probably like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. But let me explain. Give me a second here. So the thing is, like, you know, something that I've really learned is that life is precious, right? Life is precious and life is short, and in an instant, your life can change dramatically. And through some reality checks in my life, I've noticed that. And I've seen the difference of people that just live their entire life working, cooking, paying the bills. Working, cooking, paying the bills. Working, cooking. And then life just passes by. And that may be for some people. For me personally, that's not how I ever wanted to live my life. That was never a desire of mine, to live my whole life paying off bills. Let me tell you something. I you know, I have student loans, all right? My student loan is about 190K. Let me say it again. My student loans is about 190K. I'm not going to spend my entire life as a slave to the system, working a 9-to-5 job, working long hours to just put all my hard-earned money into paying off my student loans. That's not my priority. Now, does it mean that I'm not paying it? No, I am paying it when I feel like it. No, I'm just kidding. No. But I am paying it and stuff. But, you know, when I make decisions in life, I always ask myself, you know, is this something that's urgent? Is it a must? Can I maybe make this payment late? Can I move things around a little bit just so I can enjoy this precious life that we have? And look at the sun just like beaming down on me. Love it. Because you work so hard for your money, right? We all do. And what's the point of making all this money if all you're doing is to pay off your bills? To me, that just doesn't make sense. For me personally, others are gonna say some stuff differently, but that's how I live my life, because I don't like to live my life thinking that I'm never gonna have enough, and I don't like to live my life feeling like I have to take things away and that I have to deprive myself. That's not. I used to be like that, and that just led me into a cycle of lack all the time, and just frustration that, oh, I have to take, now I can't do this fun thing that I wanted to do because I have to pay this stupid bill, and and you just create this negative relationship with money in general, which we all can use some help on, right? So it's about like living your best life. How can you live your best life? And it's not about like neglecting your bills and going into collections. That's not what I'm saying, for whoever takes this too literal, but it's about just remembering on how can you sparkle some joy into your life. You know, how can you add a little bit more excitement so it's not so repetitive and boring? My opinion, you don't have to agree, but I'm just saying. That's just something that I've learned in my life, that I'm so grateful that regardless of my situation, regardless of the dark times that I went through, I always made sure, even if sometimes I didn't even have enough, I made sure to have fun and enjoy and make these memorable memories that now I get to carry with me forever. So, just saying. So yeah, so that's my lesson 4. Okay, so lesson number 5 is create a budget Excel spreadsheet. I know, it's so much adulting. But yo, this is liquid gold. And the thing is, like, I know that my parents, when I was younger, they would tell me and stuff like that. But again, when we're kids and when we're in college, we think we're unstoppable and all these things. And there were just a couple things I needed to learn a little bit more. But no worries, I learned it eventually. And here I am. But yeah, creating an Excel budget spreadsheet is so helpful. And the thing is, like, a lot of us have a negative relationship with money, and we don't even know where we're spending it. We know that money is coming in, obviously, you know, if you're working and stuff, but we don't really know where it's going. Like, we don't know where everything is going. And then before you know it, you're like, what? How come I don't have any money? I make this much and this and that. And then you're constantly building on to that negative relationship with money, that you fear it so much that you're afraid to look at it, because the last thing that you want is to take something away. And that's why it's about the money not controlling you. It's about you controlling the money, controlling that energy. Money is energy at the end of the day. And you know, that energy is a part of you. And so you have to stop spending blindly, sit with yourself, and I'm gonna say it, it's not always easy, because even to this day, there's moments that money fears come my way and I get triggered and I don't want to sit and do the budget. But you have to build on that relationship. And the more that you know where your money is going, the more control, and then then you have this sense of knowing, and you start trusting yourself, and you start creating like goals to start achieving. If there's a place that you want to travel to, you can add that to the budget. Creating a budget is not so much about restricting yourself, it's just more about knowing where your money and your energy is going, and seeing how you can create a more abundant life if you already don't feel that way. Or if you always feel like you never have enough, then this will help you figure that out. It's about being resourceful, and then it's about creating solutions for yourself. So do it. And if you don't even know how to create a budget Excel sheet, I love you guys so much that just shoot me a message and I can help you out, because I have one that I use personally for myself and it's so fucking helpful. So that is lesson 5. Okay, so lesson number 7 is for my beautiful curly hair babes. Stop going to salons that only cut straight people hair. Stop it. Just stop it. If they don't know how to cut curly hair, you gotta remove this toxic relationship. I'm sorry, but people that cut straight people hair, or even like very like wavy hair, can pass, don't know how to cut beautiful curls. They just don't know how. They're not specialized. Thankfully, the curl gods came. And now they have salons that get certified and licensed to cut specifically curly hair. Because when you cut curly hair, you're not supposed to cut curly hair when it's wet. Certain only if a curly hair specialist is doing it can they pass that. But it's not supposed to be wet, and it's supposed to be a dry cut, because you're supposed to shape the curl. And just word of advice, go to, I think it's like Diva, just shoot me a DM and I can help you find a curly salon in your area, because there's a website that you can go to that can find one in your area, and it's been life-changing. This used to not be my hair. If you scroll down my Instagram or whatever, I think you'll see like old pictures of me of like how my hair used to look. My curls would not look like this. It was all burnt and straight, and I don't even know what was going on. And it was hard for me to embrace who I was, to embrace my curls, because I was so frustrated because nobody knew how to fix my curls. No one knew how to cut my curls. They knew how to sabotage my curls and then make me feel even worse about myself. But yeah, I have hair stories for days on that one. But yeah, word of advice, go to a salon that is specialized in curly hair. Lesson number 8. Okay, you can grow a bouncy, perky booty. All right, so my whole life I struggled with my weight, in the sense of I really struggled to gain weight. Anytime I got stressed, anxiety, depressed, I would lose weight really fast, and then it was really hard for me to gain anything. And I never really took care of my body the way that I was, the way that I should, showing it the love that it deserves. And so for a very long time, I had a pancake butt. My legs were always pretty strong, like my quad area, but that's just because like while I was a kid and stuff, I would always like bike and play sports and stuff, so that helped maintain some muscle strength. But the booty, couldn't get that perky booty, and I was like, I don't understand. I'm doing all these squats and my booty is the same, but my quads are growing and I don't get it. So for a very long time, I was very, very frustrated girl. But thankfully, I got my associates in sports medicine, and I got certified as a personal trainer, and I did all these things because I wasn't accepting no as an answer. And I figured it out. And I changed the way that my body looks, because we are all capable of that. Even you. If you suffer from a pancake butt, you're not the only one. And let me tell you, you can transform it into a beautiful, perky, bouncy, twerkable booty. That's all I gotta say. All right, next lesson. So lesson number 9 is about my relationship with money. So, I had a pretty tough financial relationship with money, with the dollar bill, with the $100 bill. Because I had a lot of resentment towards it going through college and being $196,000 in debt to a career that I wasn't able to do anything with. But besides that story, so I had a lot of resentments, and through life, I also struggled to get a job. And even though I had a bachelor's degree, I still struggled. I was only capable of getting, at that time, a $9 per hour job, an $11 per hour job at most. And I was just like, I had so much resentment. I was so frustrated because the system is fucked up. But besides that, so I ended up going through a bankruptcy. But something that I learned is that going through a bankruptcy does not mean you are a failure. If you ever encounter this situation in your life, I just want you to know that you're not failing. If you're struggling with money, you're not a failure. You have to understand that we weren't taught to really manage our money. In school, you're not taught any of these things that you fucking need when you're a grown-ass adult. How to do your taxes, how to do these Roth IRAs and stocks and and all these things, right? You're not taught that. You're taught to waste your time, I feel like, through high school and all that kind of stuff and certain college stuff. But anyway, that's besides the point. But I want you to know, because this is what I went through. When I went through the bankruptcy, that was another reality check in my life. And I, for a while, felt miserable. I was disappointed in myself. I felt like a failure as a daughter. I felt like I was a failure to my brother because I'm the oldest child in the family. And so as the older child, you're held on this pedestal to be perfect, to not make mistakes, to follow the rules that we do as we say you do type of deal. You get straight A's, you set the example, you cannot fail. You're our first child. You better set the example so your younger child knows what to do and all that kind of stuff. So, for a lot of times, when I went through the bankruptcy, it was tough. It was really tough. But now that I've overcome it and I went through it and cried a lot through it and cried some more through it and cried some more through it, it was a blessing in disguise, to be honest. It happened when we were living in Oregon and we were just literally drowning in debt. We didn't know how we were going to get out of it. It was very, very stressful for ourselves, for our relationship, and yeah, there was a lot of scarcity involved in that, and it gave us honestly the opportunity to finally let go of all the baggage that was drowning us, everything that we were holding on to, and all that. Also ancestral trauma, I believe, like from our parents that they held on to, like any money mindset stuff, that any scarcity that they've held on to that was passed on to us. We're finally like breaking free of that. And fuck, it was hard, but we got through it. And here I am standing here being able to tell you that you can get through it too if you ever encounter a situation like that, or if you're in a money struggle situation. It's okay. You are not a failure, but take the opportunity to, again, ask for help if you need it. Take time to sit with yourself and do the budget. It's going to help you so much when you are in control of your money. You know where it's going and what you're doing with it. And so it was literally a lesson of letting go and releasing what no longer was serving us anymore. It was this huge like rebirth. I feel like I went through several rebirths. But yeah. So just know that if you ever go through a bankruptcy, You're not a failure. You're strong, you're courageous, and you will get through it. All right, last but not least, I really try to keep these as short as possible, but all right, lesson number 10 for part 2 is going to be, do not fucking settle. Don't settle. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't stop saying to yourself that you are stuck, because you are not. The only person that is stuck is because the only reason why you feel that you're stuck is because you're telling yourself that you're stuck. So tell yourself that you're not stuck and allow yourself to flourish. Stop staying in the comfort zone. The comfort zone is like centuries ago. You're in 2021. It's about stepping outside of that comfort zone into uncertainty. 2020 prepared you for this already. So you got this. You're here. So you got this. So stop staying in the toxic relationships, toxic jobs, toxic environments, because you have the power to create your reality. Let me give you an example. In my personal life, I was in a toxic relationship years ago for 3 years. And again, I struggled to really speak my mind, to even know my worth. I felt like I was worthless, that I wasn't deserving of anything better, that I wasn't going to be able to find a partner that truly loved me and my body for what it is. But guess what? The moment that I said no and I let go of that relationship, I found my dream guy. Manifested him into my life. He's a beautiful soul, guardian angel, so many things. Same thing happened with my toxic job, career. It just wasn't serving me. The moment that I said no to that, look where I am now. I'm making more money than I ever did before, and I am working on my business on top of that. Like, it's just pure abundance when you learn to let go of these things. And toxic environment, obviously it can go along with the job. But for example, I was living in Oregon. I wasn't happy there. I wasn't happy with the environment, the climate, the people, just the energy there just wasn't me. I didn't feel like I was flourishing there. And we were going through some very intense moments with the fires and everything going on in 2020. And we made the decision to let go and to not settle and to move away. And guess what? During a quarantine, during COVID, we picked up and moved from another state to another state. And here I am, living abundantly once again, because I don't settle. And when you don't settle, man, the opportunities that come your way is fucking mind-blowing. But only you are closing those doors on those opportunities when you settle and when you say to yourself that you're not deserving of more. So know that you are deserving and that you are worthy of having it all right in this moment. So there concludes my 10 lessons for part 2, and thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this, if you learned anything, and yeah, thank you again. See you in part 3, and part 3 will be sometime next week.